Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming. My name is Hollow and today we're talking some more Pokemon. That's because the release of the Diamond and Pearl remakes, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, well, they're right around the corner. Playable on the Switch, this is going to be the 4th gen experienced in a new way. Firstly, it's not made by Game Freak for one, who obviously made the other remakes, but it's being handled by the studio ILCA, which is a new studio for the Pokemon series. And as a remake, not a remaster, there's going to be some important changes in the gameplay. So today we're talking about 10 of those interesting changes compared to the original game, so let's get stuck in. Starting with number 1, the XP change. A big change, maybe the biggest in the game, is apparently how the XP share will work as it did like in Sword and Shield. That means the experience is spread out evenly amongst the party, no matter who your lead Pokemon actually was. And that's something you're going to have to deal with from the very beginning of the game, and it's not something that can be changed or turned off. So my question for you immediately is, do you like that? I remember in the originals always having like my highest level Pokemon, because you know I used them the most. I'd need to tactically use certain Pokemon to power level them. And while the way the XP works has changed a lot throughout the various Pokemon generations, it's the fact that this is going to be a forced system you can't turn off. That seems odd to me. But Josh was talking to me about how this might make things a bit overly easy if the Pokemon get powerful too quickly. Like if the lead Pokemon's still getting 100% XP, but then your other 5 are getting 50% every time, well then at least one of your Pokemon is getting 100% XP no matter what shuffle up you do. So you're always going to have a high level team. We're going to have to wait until the release to actually find out how this works though. Change number 2 then is the encounter system. Another major detail about the gameplay that has obviously changed is the way the encounters are going to work. Just like we're seeing more and more in current Pokemon, you can be able to see Pokemon actually wandering around physically. So you can choose to run up to them and fight it or avoid it entirely. Whereas of course in the past, you'd need to be in the right area for certain Pokemon types to spawn, and then you have to hope you get the one you're after while just repeatedly entering random encounters. Say suddenly attacked while in long grass versus seeing a Pokemon free roaming and going after it. Although we will still have the long grass mechanic in play in various forms, but now we're going to have this sort of half and half mix to work with. I actually think it's a pretty nice update. Third up is a different change to mention. It's kind of the awkward situation with the day 1 patch. We're talking about a patch that's coming to the game on its first day of release that is 100% needed because it's meant to fix basic game assets and put things in the game that really should already be there. This has come about due to some physical copies of the game being released and sent out a little bit earlier than they should have, obviously before the launch of the game. And this is a weird one to think about because yeah, a lot of games have actually had similar issues because of COVID, where they've needed to release special day 1 patches to fix certain issues in their games, which is risky business. If your game isn't ready to ship and there needs to be a day 1 patch to address maybe a serious problem, you know, what if something goes wrong with that patch? And actually, even after this patch is sent out, there's still going to be a thing where only 2 players are going to be able to battle and trade Pokemon in the Union Room at one time. This is something that's meant to have at least a few people at once, not just you and one other person. And apparently they're updating that again in the future to fix it, but I think it's pretty rough that something like that's not even in the game at its launch. The patch also includes important stuff like communication features in the Grand Underground, which we'll talk about later, and Super Contest Show stuff. Either way, hopefully that patch rolls out okay on day 1, and they add what they're meant to ASAP. Certainly a rocky start though. Change number 4 then, on a lighter note, is an obvious one, the new visuals. Visually, this has changed from the first one. The original top-down style is back, the overworld is going to be familiar, but the art style is, well, actually described as chibi by most. Chibi is the Japanese slang for something made short, you know, used to describe a specific type of character, where the characters are drawn in this sort of exaggerated, small and chubby way. Some people, I guess, might not be happy with this change, but I actually think it works pretty well. The game does need to fit the older style, right, where they're all like these little short characters, but still be visually updated to suit 2021. I think this art style works for that. Obviously, we've got 3D environments to explore now with greater detail, obviously based on the originals, but this feels like a good mix of old and new to me. Hopefully it works well for the full game. Let me know what you guys think about the art style. Further from change 4 is change 5, the fact that we're playing on the Switch. Originally, the games were played on your Nintendo DS, right? Which is a small handheld device. Sure, the Switch itself is also a handheld device in many ways, but it's much bigger and more detailed graphically, a lot more potential involved. We certainly didn't have the option to dock the console and then play on a big screen like, you know, a TV or a PC monitor. So yeah, an obvious change that should be really nice to have, especially if you played the original, but now want to sit back and play it on your TV. As far as playing games on the Switch goes, actually, I'd say I play the Switch docked 90% of the time, even though obviously the Switch is meant to be more of a portable console. Back on to mechanical changes then. Change number 6 is a really nice quality of life update for the game. HMs are things that we find in the world. They'd give us a way to teach Pokemon new moves, often tied to traversal like fly or cut. Unfortunately, that would mean you need to take a Pokemon and give up an important move slot just for like a world traversal thing. In the remake, we're going to get HMs from gym leaders after you defeat them, so a consistent way, and then you don't have to apply these skills to your Pokemon. When you use them, you'll call a wild Pokemon and have that complete the action for you. That's a really useful change, I think. Way less invasive on your current team and a much more consistent way to use them. Speaking of quality of life updates though, for number 7, there's multiple things to reference here. In the latest Pokemon games, there is lots of nice improvements over time that you might not even notice at this point. Things that weren't in the original 4th gen, but we've got used to in the games these days. A good example of these types of updates would be information displayed to you. Say when you've discovered the effectiveness of a type against another, so you found something that's super effective. Well, you don't have to remember that like before because the games these days tell you and show you, you won't have to remember it. Or the TM changes, where, yeah, like the original, they're single use, but in the remake, there's going to be way more of them throughout the game. These are the kind of changes that are minor compared to, say, the XP change, but are going to be really nice to have, and hopefully we discover lots of them through the game. Another update to an old feature for number 8 is the Grand Underground I mentioned earlier, which is a new feature, or more like an updated version of the old Underground in the originals. Previously, we saw the Underground as a place to go mine fossils or gems, but now on top of those original purposes, and its new name, the Grand Underground, it's a larger area to encounter stronger Sinnoh region Pokemon. So it should be a really important aspect of the game, where you go here to train your Pokemon up, or try to encounter those stronger but not legendary status Pokemon. We're gonna have to see what's in there, we're not 100% sure yet. And also there's going to be apparently a statue system that you can use, which creates new battle potential depending on what you choose to display. So I'm interested to see how that works. Moving on to change number 9 then, a cute detail about the remake, the buddy system. The original Pokemon Yellow, where you had Pikachu following you out in the world, is something really nice, and I remember because it was my first time playing Pokemon. The buddy system is basically a form of that, where you have any Pokemon of your choice physically following you around the world. And while you can do this kind of thing in the Amity Square to check in with your Pokemon and their moods, well now you can do it anywhere on the map. The idea is to let you build a closer relationship with your Pokemon since they're actually, physically active with you in the world. So nice to have. Finally, our last change in this remake is another easy to notice one, the customization from the beginning of the game. It's an all-important feature in games today, the ability to create your own character and make some different changes to it rather than play a set one. The remake gives us a way to connect with our trainer a bit more by creating them in our own image or however we want. And while there's not going to be a super in-depth creator system, we will have a few options to make the trainer a bit more unique. There's little details like the Pokemon stickers, the clothing we're going to choose to wear, and of course we're going to be seeing our trainer a lot more in battle scenes as well. But there you have it, 10, or actually more than that really, changes and updates that we're going to see in the remake compared to the original. A few of these might be a bit controversial mechanical changes depending on the old crowd versus the new. I think that XP change, for example, could be one. But hopefully at the end of the day, we've got a well-made and fun remake to experience, and hopefully there's no issues with the launch and that day one patch. Let me know your thoughts though, but until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.